Yeah, now we're on the line. Um, for people who missed the first part, we didn't miss anything really serious. We just installing Ruby with RVM, and RVM is a tool for you to easily switch to and install different Ruby versions. And it's actually compiling right now, so it should be compiled in a couple of seconds. I hope so. While we're waiting for Ruby to be compiled, let's talk about different Unix and Linux probably basics, because without them it will be for you really hard to like start doing some development. And I know it's really a big big challenge to give you like some really Linux basics in like 20 minutes, right? Because people spend their whole life just developing the system and exploring this. But I would try my best to give you some hints. So actually, to explore Linux ideas and basics, you will need your terminal, and with the terminal you can run different programs. I'm not diving too deep on how like you zoom in. How it's called? Control plus plus. Control plus plus. No. Where is the control on the Mac? Is it command option? Okay. I will use Alt well UI. Zoom in. So I will just give you some hints about some different and really basics commands you can run, and you will start from there. So like, who will name me like really first command you usually run on your Linux machine? You can run cd, but it does nothing, right? Like it's not really explaining. Yeah, probably ls. ls is a shortcut for list, and it will list folders. Folders are blue, and files they're like they're white. They're not like blue and white because like it's like saved in Linux and blue part of Linux, so white is just it's just coloring. So folders and files. With the files, you do have different commands to manipulate with the files, and one of like basic command will be creating the file. Who call me command to create a file? Yeah, here we go. Touch. Touch is a command to create a file, and with the touch you will give a name. Usually, if you're not sure like how a command should be used, you can pass special help flag, and it will print you some small documentation. If you're looking for more details, there is a special command called man. It's a shortcut for manual, and you can run man touch, and you will see all the options, all the like how it's should be used, what the flags it has, and like so on and so on. So with the touch, we'll create a really stupid file called foo. So now you see we have a file foo on the file system. What else can we do with the file? We can actually copy file, but I'm not sure if we. Let's fill this file with something else. To edit files, you can actually open it on your like Files Explorer on the UI, and open up with a text editor and fill some information here, right? But it's not a Linux way. It's like it's for your grandma. Real people will run something called. Let's start with some similar something really easy. It's a command called Nana. Nana is a text editor. There is Nana. There's also like another one called Micro. Nana. What was the next stage from Nana? Nana. Pika. Yeah, I think it's called Pika. We'll see. Yeah. So like with Nana, you can type some text here, like whatever you want, and there's a bunch of shortcuts how to exit and so on. And if you press Ctrl X, it will ask you, do you want to save a file? You press yes, and here you go, and you exit the file. To see what's inside the file, you will run. You will have to add cats. and it's command cat. Why it's actually called cat? Anybody know? Cat. Concatenate. Okay, cool. So it's shortcut for concatenate, and you run cat, and you will see that it's printed out. So you just print it out in terminal what's inside the file. So like we have a ability to create files, edit files, see what's inside files. What else? Let's postpone the delete for later phase because I will need to recreate files. Yeah, I get it. Like, anything else? Copy file. So anybody will guess what was the copy command shortcut? It almost copied actually CP, and you can copy file with the foo and bar and see if it's copied. And here we go. We have a bar here, and if you output it, here we go. We have bar copied from foo. All right. And once we have a really stupid copy, we can remove it. And remove file will be command remove, but it's shortcutted to rm. Rm bar is removing file. Okay, so this is a basic files manipulation. Also, we have a folders. With the folders, you usually can navigate to folder. You can go to your desktop, and it's blank here. So we can go back. To go back, you use this dot syntax. It's like a shortcut to go back on the folder. And you actually can print where you are. When you print in where you are, you will see that you located on a folder called Rubizza, home Rubizza. If you go to desktop and print again, you see it's home Rubizza desktop. So I always was curious what's the, if you go to, and you actually can go to not a relative, but really, oh wow, switch. Yeah, you can go to a relative like this way, or you can go to absolute, and absolute Rubizza. I'm constantly pressing Command C, and it just, you know, it's a habit. All right, paste here. Come down. So you can go this way, Rubizza absolute folder, and you already here. So CD is a shortcut for changing directory, so it just goes from one directory to another. You can actually create a directory. It's a command called mcat0, which is make a directory, and let's make a directory called ABC, and go to directory ABC and call directory mayonnaise for some reason, because ABC is mayonnaise in our region, and go here and like write it out and see we are on a directory. Now really listen carefully, because I see people doing this way. They are on the directory home Rubizza, for example, right? And they listed that they have ABC directory, and they type in cd abc, enter. Then they see that their directory main is type in cd mayonnaise. They mistype. They're trying to figure out what's the problem, and problem with some name. So on the Linux, you have really really short version of doing this. Actually, when you type in something like a, you can use tab like on your keyboard. You press tab, and you can, it will give you an options, or if there's only one option, it will give you like just, you know, apply to you. So if I press tab again, it will go to mayonnaise, and here we go. So did you get it? For example, if I type in P, it will give me pictures on public. I type E and tab, and you go to pictures. So please use this. Not just don't type all the words. Like it will save you so much time in your life. We have copy ability to copy files. You also you should have ability to move files, right? Just, you know, just it's really stupid if you copy your file to directory to go back and delete it. So you definitely need command to moving the files. And moving files is called command called move. It's move foo to directory abc mayonnaise, and it's not here. And if we go here, it's already here. So like you see, it's being copied. Uh, yeah, it's most basic ones with the navigation. Once you become more and more senior, will learn some advanced commands. For example, you know, where there is ls, right? There's sl also command, like which will run you some for some reason parables, or uh, if you go really hard and become a really cool hacker, you will run some metrics command, which will just make your terminal to be more like metrics. And even more advanced, like if you would do this way, like hello, and I think it's called pony say. Yeah, here we go. You can type like any words you want, like hello, Rubizza students. Yeah, is it the duck? Is it dragon? Ooh, that's fun. So yeah, but you need some skill, some level just to run these commands. I hope Ruby is compiled. Whee! Ruby is compiled. Yeah, I said like that Ruby is compiled, and let's dive a little bit deeper into like programming language differences and how just like really top level. So Ruby is compiled. Does it mean that Ruby is a compiling language or some other language? What actually like type of languages you know? Anyone from VMCs like faculty here? One, two, VMCs. Yes. Yeah. It's specialty, right? You're from there. What age? What year? Second year? Third year. So you should know about programming languages. Or at least you should start exploring. My question is, what type of programming languages, in terms of like how they operate, exist in the world? Here we go. Yeah. Yeah. You should do studies more. Uh, so like yeah, there's compiled languages and interpreted languages. What type Rubies are? Okay. Which programming languages are faster? Let's say with this. Uh, and it's kind of tough question, to be honest. Like ideally, like compiled languages should be much faster than interpreted, but if you run really, high high calculations, it matters. But with like web applications or some other applications, sometimes it not matter so much, because you're spending so much time on like communicating with your disk, so on. So short answer, compiled faster. Long answer, it depends sometimes on what type of application. But yeah, it's true, compiled are faster. And advanced question for people here. Do you know what what interpreter languages use for to become kind of compiled ones, like just to pretend they're compiled but they're not? You will get extra points by answering this question. They kind of like then they always interpreted, and I will tell you like why they interpreted, right? But they have some similar mechanism to pretend they're compiled to run like things really fast. Okay, I'll be surprised if someone will answer this question. So actually, if you were really careful, you will see like there's Ruby 2.6.1 is going to be released like this year, I guess, by Christmas usually release. And if you read the reviews notes, it says that like Ruby 2.6 introduced initial implementation of JIT, just-in-time compiler. So basically, idea behind the JIT is that like when you're running your like program, you sometimes find out that this set of instructions, this set of commands, are being executed like really often, like more than other ones. So, and it probably makes sense to turn this set of commands to direct instruction set to your CPU. Just just compile them and run them as a one function. So that's what Java has. Like really good one is just-in-time compiler, and C# and other like really top-level languages, they all have like just-in-time compilation. So Ruby, in couple months, will have some similar prototyping of this, which is really cool. And if you're interested, you should definitely check talk from Vladimir Markov about how it was developed and how it was. If you actually Google Vladimir Makarov, yeah. If you Google his talk, it's really mind-blowing at the same time really interesting how he was, playing around. And my internet is really slow. Someone is calling to me, right? Okay. Yeah, I was saying like that. You definitely check his talk. So anyhow, we have a Ruby is interpreted language. What does it mean? What does it mean to be interpreted language? Anyone? Come on. Done. Any ideas like what's the difference between compiled and interpreted languages? Not in batches. No, they all like they kind. Instructions always instruction. Let's say there was this instructions were performed on CPU or where. Yeah, I'm saying about compilation right now and what does it mean. So like let's start. Let's then think about what the compilation means. Problem is that like when you're doing some programming on C, C++, or whatever languages which are compiled, you have some syntax, some instructions, right? Let's say, hey, please take this number and add another number and get the number as a result, right? But problem is that on different CPUs, like on different, like on Intel, on AMD, on ARM, it will mean different instruction for your CPU. Like it actually, like when it goes deeper into CPU, it will run, like, on different manners and how it was executed. So when you're compiling your application, you actually like kind of having your compilator to know which system are you currently using and use these instructions, like just compile them to be instructions. And also it does a lot of optimizations, like while we're compiling, because for example, on your, Intel, it has some special subsystem on CPU which will run, matrix multiplications like many times faster than it can be done on other languages. So compilation means that it does these instructions and it converts it to your CPU. But if you think other side, like what does it mean to be interpreter? What does it mean to be interpreted language? Anyone? No idea. Okay, so usually when you say interpreting, you mean like you having your language and you interpreting it to kind of another language. To make things even more visual and more easier for you, I will jump to really stupid exercise. So let's create a file called run.ruby, and let's edit this file with a nano which you learned before, and let's say a really stupid program called hello world, right? And let's run it with Ruby, and it's your first Ruby program, hello world. Here we go. But when you're saying about like this Ruby program and how actually your Ruby seeing this program, you can pass a really interesting flag to Ruby saying, hey, can you give me instruction sets? It's called INSNS, I guess. Wait, it's another one. Minus dump INSNS. Yes, so like this is actually how Ruby interprets your program to another interpreter called another yet interpreter, I guess. Wait, another yet virtual machine. So inside the Ruby, there's like some small virtual machine which takes some sets of the commands and translates them to your current CPU instructions. So it does interpret like these instructions to your CPU instructions. Why? It's why we kind of actually compile Ruby, because when we compile, we kind of tell in this virtual machine, hey, if you take like put string, it actually should be instruction like on this one on a machine like this way and blah blah blah. So this is what means to be interpreted. So like you take in Ruby, you kind of interpret it into some intermediate language, then you give in this to virtual machine and it does some calculations and you get a result. Sounds really advanced, right? Okay, let's get back to some simple and more realistic things. Yeah, actually we get our first program on Ruby to be run, which is really cool. You run your programs with Ruby just like as it goes. So like you start Ruby run and you just execute in the file, and you see it's like it's advantage from compiled languages, because on compilation what actually need to be done, you change your source code, you compile it again, you run, you change your code, you compile it again, and run. Right on Ruby, you just change and run. You don't compile, so it's fast. It runs faster. You don't have to be waiting so much. Like I have a story to tell you, but like I think like our time is limited. So anyhow. And what's really fun about Ruby and other like languages which is interpreted, usually they have thing called REPL. Anybody know what the REPL means? Any ideas? Zoom in. REPL? No? Okay, it's called, actually it's a variation of repeat, evaluate, what repi, print, and loop. It's an abbreviation means like that actually you usually have some tool where you run your you can experiment and run your Ruby code as it goes. So like if you run IRB, which is I don't know what it's called, you dive inside the Ruby, like you just start constantly executing all the Ruby code. So if you press 1+1, it will give you 2. If you if you print some string, it will go string. If you try to add 1 to string, it will just give you error, and so on. If you just take an array, you take an array and get like third element to give you nil, and so on. So this thing is really useful for people, because when you not sure about how any line of code should work, how it should be executed, you always can jump to this and just play around. Just think about this as a sandbox of playing with different and doing some experiments. Because like imagine you're running on C++ and then you're not sure like what this function will give you as a result, right? And it's such a mess, because you need to like have a separate file, compile it separately, give you all the libraries, and like kind of just hell. It's really hard to see. If some C++ listeners are listening us, it's really hard to do it. Okay, so is there any other ways of executing Ruby programs? There are. You can execute your Ruby code in line with running this puts 1, 2, 3, for example. And if you run -e and give you some Ruby code, it give you some, it will execute it. Just to be clear, you can like take a variable, have a variable to be a variable +1 and execute it with a and give you 2. We should yes, it should be 2. So this is a second way. I use this way only while while giving my lessons and giving my talks to students. I never use it in my real life. You can just forget about this. Another way of executing Ruby code is quite interesting, and you can actually create your file. We have a file called run RB, right? It's more a Linux way of executing files other than Ruby. You can use special syntax called hash. I think it's called. It's this way, right? User bin and Ruby. So it's like you can think about this as the magic like of adding this on top one. I think this is the right one. And also you will need to give your file special permissions with command chmod, which makes this file will make this run executable. You see, executable files are green, and now you can execute it this way. Like it's getting executed. So if you remove RB from extension, you will just make it like a real program. Like hey, and nobody will know that it's running Ruby. Is it cool? That's how you actually run your code in Ruby. How you execute stuff. So let's go further. Just give me 1 second. I have some basics here, and everything's been installed. It's fine. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So we have one part which is not really covered. Is how you can run your Ruby files and you can like run your programs, but in the real world, it's really hard to execute something without using libraries, right? And libraries is really like main part of and heart of any programming language. So we have special lesson where we will discuss what the libraries are, how you like build them, and so on. But like give you just really some different hints. So libraries in Ruby called gems. And it definitely should give me some interesting result when I type gems. Okay, Ruby gems. There's a special website where you can find different libraries, different versions. It's called rubygems.org. It's a separate non-profit organization which kind of hosts them together. And imagine that like let's take some example here. Imagine you want to run a program like Hello World, which we actually already like running, but instead of like having Hello World to be boring white color, you want to make this like green or red, whatever. So usually what you're doing, you come into your browser and Googling like Ruby gem colorize text, and usually you get some results on GitHub. And here we go, and you find out that like there is colorize gem which can be used here. So usually all gems are hosted on GitHub. Most of them are hosted on GitHub, so we can actually go and explore the source code and see what it does. And usually it has instructions how to install it. But basically, here we go. Installation of gem is really easy. You go and you take in this command called gem install. You paste in it here, and it should be installed in a second. So you see it's installed. Now you need to go to your. Can I use Vim for you? I'm tired. Again? Okay, whatever. So like now you go to your file, which is runnerb, and on top of your file, here is, I think is below. You usually use special require command, which will require library. Like if you're familiar with Python, it's like imports, on PHP something else. So it's just like special syntax is saying, hey, on this file I'm going to use this library. Just be aware. And we'll include this file library here. And also, okay, we require this library, and now when it actually should be colorized string, no, it should actually be colorized, whatever. And if we want to make this red, we can make it blue and red. Here we go, my favorite color, blue on red, on red. Yeah, and let's run again. Undefined method bool for colorized string. What? Blue and red require colorize. Say it again. Blue for colorized string. Yeah. Oh yeah. Thank you. It should actually colorize this one as well. I'll type again. Puts hello world. Okay. Let's comment out here. Here we go. I can argue if it's blue or not. Yeah, it's blue. Okay. So that's basically how you use libraries. Again, like having a lot of libraries in your system manually to be installed is quite hard and quite hard to manage them. And where you start exploring more advanced features of Ruby Version Manager. So actually, you remember like we installed Ruby Version Manager, and if you run command list, right, you will see that you have Ruby 2.53. You can actually also use list known, list known this way. You can list all the versions you can actually install on your PC with the command rvm list known, and you will see there is a bunch of different versions of Ruby, and probably someone will tell like from you what does it mean. There is like a Ruby, which we already see, like we saw before, MRI Ruby. There is a JRuby. There is like Rubinius, Truffle Ruby, Opal, MRuby, whatever we want, and RE and Topaz, and so there's a lot of Rubies in the world. Mac Ruby, Iron Ruby. So anyone have explanation why is so much like Ruby versions there? Any ideas? Community, crazy people. No, I mean like yeah, it's definitely community driven. But do you remember I told you like what's the difference between compiled language and interpreted language, right? Because on interpreted language you take in your code, you translate this code to some virtual machine, right? And actually, like on really initial implementation, Ruby has their own virtual machine, but it's fun because you can actually take different like these virtual machines from different languages, and run and transpiler, which will get your Ruby language to be transpiled to this language, to like the virtual machine language, internal one, and run it on this one. One of most popular alternative implementations of Ruby is called JRuby, and G here is for Java, actually. So there's a like version in Ruby which is really popular, which actually takes like a Ruby syntax, but is running on JVM, Java Virtual Machine, and it takes all that like features and advanced which already implemented in Java Virtual Machine. It has all the like optimizations. It has all threads and parallelism and memory and so on. So it's really cool. And there's topic. There's like talks on internet when people comparing like Ruby with the JRuby, and sometimes it's like 10 times faster than like original Ruby one. So we have some variety. All right, but I was saying like there's a couple more like MacRuby is like some MacOS Snow Leopard or newer. Well, Iron Ruby is for C# I guess, and RE is for enterprise. No one is uses. And like Rubinius is also fun because Rubinius, I'm not sure if it's already supported, but idea it was to make it's similar to what's the language is that? It's I think it's close to idea of what's the name? It's running on top of Erlang, Elixir. Like there's Elixir, which is like really popular language probably these days, and Elixir is running on top of Erlang, a virtual machine, right? But what they actually do is they're taking big parts of Elixir and they kind of implementing Elixir on Elixir itself. So like if you check Rubinius internals, you will find out, like, if you just Google Rubinius, uh, you will find out on GitHub that like Rubinius is actually implemented on. Give me sets. Yeah, you see, like, actually, like, Rubinius is implemented 25% on Ruby, so it's kind of like using Ruby to implement Ruby and kind of like and so on. A little bit crazy, right? Anyhow, so I was telling you about Ruby version manager, and one of cores of Ruby version manager is there's a concept called gem sets. So gem set is a, you can think about it as a folder. Like you have default folder where when you installing all the gems, they just go there. But you also can think like you can just switch a folder and there will be no gems there. So like this way, like I think if I type gem list, I will get, yeah, like see, like when I type in gem list, I'm seeing all gems which are installed in my current gem set, like on my system, and we should find colorize here. Like you see, it's colorize. But if I go with the RVM and I create gem set create fresh, and I will use gem set use fresh, and I will type gem list. So see, like I have there like these gems, they're pretty standard and they come in with your, but there's no colorize. You see it's C, mass, CSV, but there's no colorize. So you can actually just place your gems to gem sets and be safe. It helps you when you have like me, like on my local machine I have probably like 25-40 projects, like which I'm switching like sometimes, and if I will install all the gems to one big list with all the versions, it will be like really huge for me. You can use Docker on other technologies to like solve this problem, but gem set is really like super easy to use and super stupid, I guess. All right, so there's a RVM and there's a Ruby and how run stuff. Only one thing which I for some reason I missed is a Linux file structure and how everything is organized, but I probably will leave it on you to, because it's really hard to explain this really stupid concepts. So it's mostly this, like how it's actually how you install Ruby on your local machine. You just run RVM and it's done. It's like you installed everything. Do you have any questions for me before we drop off? Because I guess it's our first try and first lecture. Any ideas? Yeah, actually, yeah. One good idea is usually people asking me where they should write the source code, right? I already answered this question. What used to write Ruby? What ID? Yeah, okay. So I will just repeat it like for people who miss it. So actually, there is a good one called RubyMine. It's really high. It's advanced. It's just taking some resources to run. I think you need at least like 2 GB of RAM to run RubyMine. Yeah, sure. How do I zoom here? Oh, I can actually switch here. It's fine. RubyMine. RubyMine here. So yeah, that's a RubyMine. I don't have this installed on my machine, but RubyMine is what I will recommend you to try. It has 30 days free trial, which is kind of cool. And also, I guess if you're a student, there should be some student program where you can get this for free with the GitHub education package or something. So you definitely should check some internet. I'm not sure, like I definitely saw a link where you can get your RubyMine for free while you're a student. Good alternative this day if it's VS Code. It's pretty much great code editing tool to write code. there's a bunch of like you can use really basics install for the very beginning because it definitely will have Ruby syntax highlighting from scratch and from the box. But if you want to go more advanced, you should ask people around and see what plugins you need to install and to run. But definitely good one. And if you like this old and is as crazy as me, you can run your code in the Vim. Like it's for old guys like me, and you can just yeah, like if you who know Vim in this audio song except me? Like nobody know Vim. I mean, like, not know, but know what Vim does at least. All right, how about people? Yeah, because like before like you jump to Vim and try to run it, I have to tell you one thing. To quit Vim, you should press double dots quit here. There is no other ways of quitting Vim. Like if you just type everything, like you just trying to press escape, like no, you just double dots quit. That's it. So it's important. I know like people who get the experience should be smiling right now because it can be really trapped in a Vim sometimes. So yeah, VS Code, RubyMine are good stuff, good starters for you. Anyone more questions? Yeah. Say it again. I think it should be on YouTube. I hope so. But usually when you go to YouTube and you type Rubizza, you will find our official channel and see that it's live now. And probably it has a sound. And some people were saying звука нет. And actually it has. So it was like 1 hour ago. Cool. So yeah, I fixed this. Hello for online users. Yeah, all recording will be saved, and you can just check them after after lesson. It's fine. Usually, after our first lesson, we're given the small home task, which will be to install Ubuntu, install Ruby, and make run at least Ruby hello world. I have to warn you that what common mistake what people are doing, they actually not following the guide, and they when they installing RVM and Ruby, they run it with a sudo. Sudo is a command in Linux which grants you kind of administrative permissions, so you can do more stuff than you actually can do. You can edit the configs, you can restart your PC and so on. So when you install an RVM, please be careful and don't install it with sudo. It's not a big deal if you install it with sudo, but later on you will have a lot of problems because when you install in Ruby with sudo, RVM and Ruby, you will need to start installing gems with sudo, and every library will need to install with sudo, and you will be really fucked up in the later on. So just make sure that you're not running this really with this command with a sudo. It's important. Yeah. Yeah, basically I'm done. I'm mostly I told you more. I told you everything I know about Ruby for now. Any more questions? No. Okay. So I'm not going to publish this homework right now, but later we will keep all the homeworks to be on a GitHub. Usually we have our own official organizations. It's called Rubizza Survival Camp here, and there's a bunch of homeworks. If you're boring and if you already know how to install Ruby, how to do stuff, there is a folder Summer 2018 where actually there's a couple things which you can practice. It's in Russian here, but it definitely deserves to be practice it. Like there is some what was it? For example, you can take this one where you actually you evaluating which one of people from Versus, which is a rap battle platform, using most top bet words like this way, and you need to run your like program. We will have some similar like later on, but you can also practice and or what else? Yeah, how often people say in the words like what's the frequency of the words like people are using here. So you can practice, but like I'm saying that like, later we'll create another wrapper called like I don't know Winter 2011 and you 2018 minus 11 and invite you there. All right. Yeah, I think that's it. It was fun talking to you and thank you.